Hello everyone and welcome back to 2S Porsche Cup Challenge. Today we're at Nürburgring for the round 3 of this mini-series, and I want to welcome you all and say hi to our new guest commentator, which is Austin. I met him at RCI and we've had a pretty good run on the Thursday series at RCI, and I thought why not invite him here today, so welcome everyone to Austin.
Thanks, Christian. It's great to be here, actually, and slightly different cast to what we're used to seeing. Obviously, for me at least. You guys have been following the series so far, but Porsche Cup cars around the Nürburgring. So interesting combination, very German combination. Obviously, car and track, and I'm just gonna say, Christian, thank you for having me. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, I'm very much been looking forward to this. This is obviously going to be the last broadcast for me today. For this series, as I'm not able to do the final round. So it's nice to see people already in chat as well saying "Ale Tommy." I believe that's Tommy Aslin's friend here to support the drivers. So it's, yeah, people supporting drivers already in the chat. We're not really into qualifying yet, but yeah, I'm very happy to have you here, Austin. We've had some great fun in the Thursday series, and I'm hoping to replicate that a little bit today.
Yeah, no, it's. I know there's been a bit of shake-up to the Thursday series. I'm really gonna miss it, but I'm glad we still have this, and so looking at things now. Got some really quick drivers out tonight. With a 155.7 at the top there from Rats in the 72. So a lot of quick drivers out tonight. It's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, for sure. For the people who are not aware, Orlando Reds and Felix Rupert, they are both Renwelten esports drivers, and you see they're the top two at the moment. They're actually driving together on track, which fits perfectly into my broadcasting. It's actually, whoa, wait, Felix Rupert's gone off track there. But these two drivers are definitely ones to watch for this series. I believe Orlando Reds is actually leading the championship at the moment, but right behind him is Tommy Asselin, who's in P3, so he also has a chance at winning this championship. With Felix Rupert in P3 after some slight mistakes he had in Zolder and his Hungaroring as well. But it seems like the top 3 in the championship, currently top 3 in practice. Will that continue on to qualifying? I'm not sure. We'll probably have to wait and see. I also expect Andrei Miklia to produce some banging laps, as he has put the car on pole twice. So this will be the first time he wouldn't be on pole, so to say. Let's go have a look at Alex Burbo, who has recently joined us again here at 2S. After an injury, and it's nice to see him back on track. He's been having a lot of fun, and we've seen him race in RCI actually for the World Tour, for the invite split, back when they had an invite split, and now he's here again with us at 2S, so it's all nice, and it's good to see familiar faces. Any familiar faces for you, Austin?
Yeah, well, obviously I recognise Rupert and Rats from some of the RCI races. Let's see, I'm sure I've seen Kessel somewhere as well. But no, there's one or two names. I think I've seen Mill somewhere as well. It's another name that sounds familiar. No, there's a few familiar names. I don't know if it's the same people, but the sim racing. Oh, going very sideways. Very sideways to finish practice there from Caulfield. But yeah, no. That's the thing about sim racing. It's a very it's small, but it's a relatively niche community. So there is obviously some overlap, and it's great to see. It's great to race with and see the same people consistently on a league on a per league basis. So no, it's great seeing people.
Yeah, it really is. It's always nice when you see familiar faces. Oh, I recognize him. I can support him a little bit, and we had a look at the liveries earlier as well, and we went through a few liveries. You definitely have a favorite, Austin, don't you?
Yeah, there's a few. The Red Bull liveries are really neat. But liveries, there was one we were talking about it before, Christian. One of the ones that's racing in the Porsche Cup Series in real life, the Black Falcon car, or one of the Black Falcon cars.
Yeah.
That livery is amazing. But there's some really good ones. I can't really pin one particular favorite. We know when there's like 2 or 3 on the grid that are really neat.
Yeah, for sure. We always talk about liveries as we've enabled custom liveries recently, and as you mentioned, the Black Falcon one, created by our in-house designer of Ruben van den Hudding. It's a crazy story that he got contacted to create the livery, and he's done an absolutely banging job. I believe it's on track now, so I want to quickly show you guys what we're talking about. Have a little run around the car, because just have a look at this. This is used in the real-life Porsche Cup Deutschland series by Luke Hartog. And it's just an amazing livery.
Yeah, it's just really, really well put together. I was going to say it kind of looks like a stock livery, that you might find in the team section of ACC. But then obviously it would if it's a real life livery. I know it's not actually in the game; it is a custom livery, but it's so well put together, and it goes to show kind of what a good livery, what it can be if it's done a certain way. But that's not to discredit some of the other liveries on the grid. Some of the Red Bull cars, they look great. And I believe there's one car. If you look closely, I think someone might have let a Ferrari 488 onto the grid.
Yeah, I mean the Ferrari is currently in pit lane. I'll show you guys later when he's out on track. As we're getting people doing their outlaps. Obviously, these cars have no tire warmers, so the first lap will be basically a second outlap for these drivers as they warm up their tires. But we have Sam Chumley, first in line to get out on track, and he's the first in line to start his quality lap. Let's see what he's able to do. Let's go right on board with him for a little bit, because these cars, they can be very quick around Nürburgring, but they are extremely tricky to drive, especially in the first sector, which are quite tight corners where you require quite a decently patient foot, I would say, with the acceleration, the way these cars, they slide around on the throttle.
Yeah, it's an important thing to note, actually. You said there's no tire warmers. It's a really good point. But the other point as well is that these cars have ABS, but they don't have traction control. So, as you're saying in the first sector, there's a lot of elevation change as well as tight corners. So, it's really easy for the back end of the car just to go light and for the back end to start skating round. And then, before you've a small slide, you've lost 2-3 tenths of a second. And that could be a lap ruined in qualifying. So, having the clear air, and obviously Chumley has the kind of clear air at the moment, being first out, and has that kind of advantage, and having this is basically not just a banker lap, but as you say, another lap just to kind of warm the tires and get the tires up to temperature. That's invaluable around here.
It is indeed. It also these guys, they still need to get used to track conditions as they do change slightly from qualifying to from practice to qualifying, also from qualifying to the race. So what we're doing is we run a singular quali session on what's theoretically a Saturday in-game. Then we have a race on the Saturday, a 5-minute practice session for the drivers just to cool down a little bit on the Sunday, and also another race on Sunday. So it could be race 1 dry, race 2 flooded, completely wet and everything. So again, as you said, it's nice to get a little banker lap on quali to just feel the conditions, because I'm pretty sure they will change throughout this race weekend, so to say.
But that just keeps things interesting, and that's what we like, especially with these cars, as I say, around what I believe it's something like 500 brake horsepower with no traction control in the wet. These things are going to be, well, for us, hilarious. For the drivers, hell.
Oh, there you go. There was a snap oversteer moment into turn 1 there for Sam Chumley. He's returned to pit lane, so he only has just over 5 minutes left of quali. It's a short quali session, so it does put a little bit of pressure on these drivers as well, as Orlando Retz, who we're currently looking at, puts it into provisional pole position with a 156 flat. I don't know about you, Austin, but that's the sort of times I do in a GT3 car.
Yeah, these guys just proving exactly why these guys have the proving the esports name in their team name, and it shows why we're in the booth. Let's be honest here, Christian. I think if I was putting in 56s in these cars, I'd be out there with them. But no, as I say, we said at the start, these drivers, the skill ceiling that's on the grid right now is astronomical. Some of these guys are so quick. Obviously Felix Rupert as well, Bratz's teammate, incredibly quick. Azalin, very quick. I think we also talked about Veldman a little bit before we went live, and again, incredibly quick driver. So we could be in with a good 3 or 4 way scrap towards the end here. But no, 56 in these cars around the Nürburgring. I mean, wow.
Yeah, and you see Retz is actually catching up to another one of our fast drivers, Antoine Olive. Olive is struggling a little bit in these Porsche Cups journey. I'd say he's got a bit more pace in the GT3s, but it looks like at the moment Retz has been pushing really hard. And look at the delta, it's actually break even to his previous lap, but that might be due to Antoine Olive ahead of him. He has backed out of it now as well, of his lap time. I thought he might get a fast lap time in there, but I'm going to have a look at Gareth Higgins, because Higgins currently nearly a full second up on his lap time, so that could put him up into provisionally P2 as Diakowski just goes into P2 at the moment. But let's see what Higgins is able to do in the final few corners. Does he get the throttle? and the power down? Yes, he does. A little bit of a poor exit compared to his last lap, but it doesn't mean it's a bad lap at all as he goes up to P2.
Ooh.
5 tenths behind Reds. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see some more drivers get even closer. And I can't wait to see the final few laps come in. Still, 3 minutes left of quali. It is a 10-minute session. It goes by so quick.
Yeah, 10 minutes to get a lap, it really isn't a lot of time. But Gareth Higgins, huge jump in their time there. We're by full set going very sideways. I mean, Gareth, mate, I know Initial D is great, but watching it before a serious race, I mean, I respect it, but that's going to cost you time, my dude. And no, it's a huge leap in terms of position and lap time there. And I believe that might have put them down. Looking at my timing sheet, Higgins actually no, still up on their delta by a little bit, even despite the slide. So there's still yet more time that Higgins is finding in that Cup car right now.
Indeed there is, and I'm quite surprised to see it, because I thought that slide for sure would cost him some time, but it looks like his delta is still positive, so maybe sometimes sliding around in these cars is the fastest way to go. Let's have a look at Ben Lowe's, who's another driver I've spotted who's quite far up on his time. He's only in Sector 1 still. He's got 7 tenths to his delta at the moment. If he can complete this lap the way it's going, he can jump all the way up to, I think,
P9, I believe.
P9, P8 maybe, give or take. And yeah, well, he's improving quite a lot, so to say. But Orlando Reds, let's go back to him real quick. He does have provisional pole position by quite some margin. Felix Ruppert has a qualifying ban, so he's not able to contest it. But that's not stopping Orlando Reds, because currently, I don't know if you see it, Austin, but his delta, 3 tenths up on his fastest time. He's caught up back to Antoine Olivier again. And he's just about to cross the line. We might see a mid 55 here as he comes across the line. Is it going to be mid? Exactly.
Yes, there we
right
are,
on the
yes.
dot. A 1:55.505. What a lap time from Orlando Reds, right there, from the Renwelten esports driver. That's my qualifying pace in the GT3. I'm actually just blown away by how quickly he's done that. I saw Torres, Marius Torres, as some of you guys might know him, in the chat. He did say, nah, everyone's slow, but he has deleted the message. But I'm still going to call you out on it. Thank you for joining us, Marius.
Yeah, thank you indeed. And it does seem that, even from the practice times, the only person really able to challenge Rats there is his teammate Felix Ruppert. But as you say, Ruppert does have that qualifying ban. So, obviously, looking at Andrei Miklia in P5 at the moment for the West Competition Racing, one of the Red Bull liveries that we were just talking about. P5 on my delta, actually on my timing sheet, actually up on their delta by about 2 tenths of a second. So not without wishing to commentator's curse, Andre here, coming through the Schumacher S's. You know, there's the drop down there in the gearing. You can just about hear it, and just the slight lift off on corner exit. I'm wondering if that's cost them some time. No, it sorry, looking at my thing. No, it hasn't cost them time. It hasn't gained them any either. Still 3 tenths up on their delta. A few corners left to go to finish the end of the lap, but still a lot of opportunity to get this wrong. But if they keep this pace up, they could potentially jump Diakowski in P4 and potentially even take provisional P3 or even P2 from Azolin.
Yeah, Azolin and Higgins are very tightly knit in that pack, and he just needs to get through the final few S's there. He gets quite wide onto the grass a little bit, but that's fine. For his quality run, Andrei Miklia, he has had pole position in round 1 and round 2. Will he have pole position in round 3? I don't think he will, but it's looking like it's going to be close to P2, and indeed it is. So he jumps Tommy Azolin by 4 tenths. Tommy Azolin has aborted his lap as well. So now all eyes on Diakowski. Is he able to potentially get that P3 position? He is up on his personal best by 2 tenths. 2 tenths currently, as it stands, is enough to jump up to P3, but just as I say that, he's had a bit of a poor exit, and he's lost those 2 tenths. He's back down to 5 thousandths on his delta, so this is going to be extremely close for the top 3.
Yeah, it's a big time loss there, but luckily it seems to have happened fairly early in the lap, so they're hovering around about a tenth of a second, you know, 5 thousandths to a tenth of a second above the delta currently, and coming through the hairpin up towards the Schumacher S's. And you can make a lot of time here if you get the line right. Let's go on board, ride the outside curve, lift off, hit the inside curve. That can upset these cars somewhat. Obviously, no damper controls, so the car can sort of move around like jelly as you come off the curb. But it looks like Diakowski has got the exit absolutely nailed. Running a slightly wide through there. Obviously, so easy to invalidate your lap there as well, Christian. It has to be said.
Yeah. He's done a good job of keeping it inside track limits, but as you mentioned earlier, bouncing over the curbs, I saw him. I might have taken a little bit too much, a bit more than he can chew. He's lost a bit of time in his delta, so it doesn't look like he's currently able to complete his lap, and he's invalidated it as well. Just as we say that, so that is him in P5, not able to contest the top 3, but oh, it was so close and looking so promising. But let's dive into the race start. I would generally pull up a track video, but I think you guys should just see the process of the camera works and the drone works at the moment. So let's just quickly have a look at the track itself. The Nürburgring obviously is the GP section of this infamous track. You can also go and see the Nordschleife section in the background there. It does cut off eventually, but there is a piece of track there, which I find to be quite an interesting idea from Kunos. I know we're not going to go see the big Nordschleife in the game itself, but it's a little bit of a teaser, in my opinion, and a bit of a rude one to be fair. As a lot of people have been asking for the Nordschleife as a track, but we just aren't getting it.
Yeah, sadly, the game. Oh, I say sadly, SRO does some absolutely amazing things for the community and for racing in general. And with the Nordschleife not being an SRO track, then obviously, as you say, Christian, we're not going to see it. And it is a teaser because what it actually is modelled. I mean, if we're able to fly over there just to see where it kind of enters in, it's really well detailed. The modelling there is so well done that, potentially it could, in theory, be used. But no, sadly, with the licensing, I believe is one of the reasons as to why we're not going to see it in ACC anytime soon.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen unless SRO does a race there somehow. We just won't see it, and that is it's a bit of a sad reality. But AC2 is being it's in the making, and I believe once AC2 is released, there might be some sort of esports GT3. Sort of like ACC, where you could drive the Nordschleife and have a lot of fun on that track as well. We're going to quickly have a look on the track videos. I just think they just look better than my Helicam sometimes, and I just thought I'm going to keep the Helicam for race 2 to give you guys some more entertainment so you don't see the same thing all the time. But as you can see on this track video, with some beautiful shots of the cinematics of Nürburgring, one of the, I think, prettier tracks on the calendar, or so to say. I mean, Zolder is quite pretty as well in the forest, but Nordschleife, it's just a legendary track.
Yeah, I mean, situated in the Ardennes forest, same as Spa, surprisingly. The two tracks only about 50 miles away in real life. So, situated basically in the same forest land as Spa. Yeah, rolling hills. That what it means for us on the track is elevation changes. You see it in that shot there. You see it dips down and goes back up again towards the final chicane. And again, T1. It's so easy to lose the back end in these cars. You'd see, not only are you braking downhill, but you're steering you're steering hard right downhill as well, and it's so easy to lose the back there.
Yeah, and here was the car we were talking about earlier. He's accidentally painted a Ferrari onto a Porsche. I don't know how he's done it.
That's wait, you tell me that's a Porsche, Christian? I could have sworn that was just a Ferrari.
It definitely wins the certificate for most cursed livery on the grid. Obviously, Marvin Betch, our in-house livery designer, but I wouldn't say one of the talented ones, but more of the creative ones. He's made this Ferrari livery for the Porsche. I think that's very cool. To be fair, he's actually executed it really well, but very nicely done. As you see all the cars going down into turn 1. There's been chats in the Porsche Cup discussions that we might actually see turn 1 collisions. They were saying, so Zolder we had one race 2, Hungaroring we had one lap 2, Nordschleife a tight turn 1, Porsche Cup. Are we going to see another turn 1 pileup? Who knows? I
mean, very heavy braking zone here, very slow turn 1, so kind of very similar to Monza in that respect. It's quite a long run down to T1 from the starting grid. Do you know, Christian, I think we might actually see it.
I kind of hope we don't, not gonna lie, but as you did mention, tight turn 1, long run into it, it's sort of a recipe for disaster, and we have seen it before in Nürburgring, and it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see it today. You just see the elevation changes as we go over the hill. You see the cars coming down the hill on the other side, going into the bend at the moment, and then following the Schumacher S's. I forget what this bend is called. I was going to say the Schumacher hairpin, but that's just not what it is. That's just incorrect information. Do you have an idea of the track corner name?
I would have to look it up whilst we're actually commentating. I don't know too many of the corner names. I know. Sue me. I'm a commentator who doesn't know a track, but no. The Schumacher S's is fairly self-explanatory, and I mean the track certainly does have its own flow, doesn't it?
It definitely does. And after Hungaroring, some of the drivers were saying that they didn't really enjoy the driving style for the Porsche Cups in the track. It just didn't suit the way the car would drive. I've been told this time around they're really enjoying this track, having a lot of fun. So I do think that will also help with the racing and the enthusiasm of these drivers. But we're rounding the final few corners now to get onto the last straight. You see Tommy Aslin right at the moment. For some reason he says he's P2. I don't believe he went faster than Miklia, but he is for some reason P2. Don't quite know what's happened there actually. Maybe he did go faster. Did we miss something?
I'm not sure. I think Miklia did take P2 by quite a margin. It was the only driver to be within a second of Rats in P1 there. So maybe there's a timing there's like a timing line that they've kind of crossed, and so maybe Aslan was just a little bit ahead, and so it's displaying to us that Aslan's ahead, but obviously the order hasn't changed. You see Miklia actually pulling ahead of Aslan there, so yeah. I'm wondering if the order is going to correct itself by the start-finish line.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like it.
Before I rudely interrupted you there, what were you going to say?
No, I will get back to that thought in just a moment, because we are about to go green.
Do you want to take us away?
I can take it away. I do not mind, Christian. So, just waiting for the green light, and there we go. Just as I'm saying it, there's the green light. It looks like Rats has got a great getaway, but so has Miklia in P2 there, squeezing Rats to the inside, but don't count out. I believe that's Higgins coming in. No, that's not Higgins, that's Aslan coming in, squeezing by, pushing Miklia wide. That is Aslan just about getting ahead of Miklia, but Miklia having the inside to turn 2 and just squeezing out Aslan wide. And meanwhile, Rats is able to get the run and get the clear air and not really being challenged to create a gap. And you see that gap forming now as Miklia and Aslan fall into a bit of an order. Daniel Caulfield looking like they're maybe climbing up the order a little bit, coming down into the S complex now of turns. I believe it's 5 and 6, and making a bit of a mistake. But I believe that's the 77. That's the 77 just coming through, and that's Muller. That's Muller off and facing backwards, and it looks like there's been a bit of an accident there, Christian.
There's definitely been an accident. I saw that in the background of the car, so I'm just going to quickly go on the replay, see if we catch anything. So it does look like Muller has gone off track. Oh, he's rejoined, caught Ben Lowe's in the rejoin by accident as the cars come spinning around. That's Marvin Betch avoiding all the carnage, going off track. So we didn't see a turn 1 collision, but we did see a turn 5 collision. But I want to say hats off to most of the drivers, because they all avoided it apart from Ben Lowe's got collected. Andre Mikler, with a brilliant start fighting Tommy Aslin, allowed Orlando Retz to get away a little bit, but he is right up behind Retz yet again. So this battle is not over for sure, and I can't wait to see how that's going to pan out. Tommy Aslin lost out a little bit behind them, and he's got the pressure of Diakowski and Gareth Higgins behind now that he has to deal with.
Yeah, and that pressure is not going to be easy at all. You know, you have Chomley behind as well, and very, very quick, Diakowski just trying to make up as much as you can, just clinging to the back of Azolin. Diakowski obviously had the pace in the last lap of qualifying. You know, obviously we saw them invalidate, which stopped them, which sort of prevented them from kind of progressing further up the grid. So making up for lost time in P4 now, but Higgins on the tail of that Porsche. Cofield as well, setting fastest lap of the race so far. That's what the purple indicator on the left-hand side of your screen there, that's what that means. And chasing down van der Hudding in that livery that we pointed out earlier on at the start of the stream.
Yeah, it's quite a good showing from Cofield. He is, of course, a silver driver, and he's entitled to race others on track. We have the leading silver driver of Velasco right ahead of Antoine Lever. You see the blue and white car just outside the shot at the moment. But yeah, Daniel Caulfield was putting on a charge to Van der Hudding into turn 1. but Van der Hoeding did a good defensive maneuver and managed to save himself there. Rupert, on the other hand, Felix Rupert starts at P17 because of qualifying. He's just made a nice overtake up the inside into the hairpin sort of corner on Alex Burbo, and he is up to P11 already. We have a 20-minute race, and he might, with this pace, it looks like, if he could pick his overtakes, he could get a top 5 potentially.
Yeah, I mean, Felix Rupert, I mean, a name, do we need to say more? I mean, started, had the qualifying ban, started at the back and now in P12, so definitely making the way up the grid, and I'd expect to see them make more positions up as well. As I said at the start, one of the only drivers that could challenge Rats in terms of pure pace here, so it'll be interesting to see in just 20 minutes what they can make do of this race, as we see Chumley really cutting across the curbs there. You can take a fair bit looking on the inside, but that's Higgins shutting the door, and I believe that will compromise Chumley's exit just slightly and allow Higgins the better run down, but Chumley will have the slipstream going down into T1. Heavy braking zone, good opportunity for an overtake. Higgins just blocking off the inside. Chumley trying to maybe take a look on the outside or get the switchback. Getting the switchback is an option, trying to get the power down earlier than Higgins is able to just about manage it, but not able to pull up alongside. And coming through the Mercedes arena, I'm not sure. Oh, that's a dive, and that is contact. Not anything. It's very, very lucky. Higgins very lucky to not be sent round there.
There's great car control from Higgins there to catch his car after the contact with Sam Chumley. It looked like Sam was trying to outbrake him into turn 1 going around the outside, but Higgins did a brilliant job with his braking himself and just covered off that inside. Covered off a switchback maneuver, and Sam Chumley has to stay behind for now. But Higgins, brilliant defensive job. Sam Chumley could have maybe been a bit more aggressive, but then we saw into turn 3 his aggressive side, and it almost cost Higgins a little bit of a position. But obviously, we said Gareth, great car control from him. This battle is far from over. Sam Chumley does look like the faster driver at the moment, basically pushing Higgins through the corners, and I'm pretty sure he'll try another attempt again when we go down into turn 1.
Yeah, all Chumley has to do is kind of stay close and just keep that opportunity and that door open. Still 15 minutes of the race left to go, pretty much. We're only a quarter of the way through, so short race, but still a quite high percentage of it to go. Higgins, riding on the back wing of Gareth Higgins there in the 36, the VVDL Higgins team name.
Yeah, of course, Higgins, he is a VVDL driver, as some of these drivers on the track as well. Oh, in the background, who's that guy?
Oh, that's Belascu. Yeah, Belascu.
He just caught the curb there, as we saw on the rear bumper view, and he just straight into the grass.
Bit of a wiggle there from Higgins coming through the last corner. Sorry for cutting you off there, Christian. But going down into T1, this has allowed Chumley the inside down to T1. So if they can keep this line tight, this might be a thing. Higgins forced to take the switchback, and it hasn't quite worked. Chumley securing themselves the inside going down into the Mercedes complex. And yeah, just that is the move done on Higgins. Finally happened. Higgins, a slight mistake in the final corner, and that it wasn't a huge mistake at all. Just a little bit of oversteer, and that is what these cars are like to drive. It's how easy it is to make a mistake. So much power, so much torque going through the rear wheels, engine in the back, no traction control. It's so easy to get that back end sliding and to lose time like that, and leave yourself vulnerable to attacks like the one we've just seen Chumley do on Higgins down into T1.
Yeah, it was a brilliant move by Chumley, just applying the pressure. Higgins feeling the pressure, and then Chumley up to up to P5, and he now has Diakowski in his sights, 1 second ahead of him. I'm going to cut to Nico Veldman, obviously our Season 9 champion of 2S. So he is, I guess you could say, reigning champion, but not in the Porsche Cup, but in series-wise. He's attacking Alex Burbo here. Nico Veldman has mentioned he's been struggling a little bit with these Porsche Cup cars. He's not quite got the grips of them, but it looks like today he's unlocked a little bit of pace, which he's now using to try and apply pressure to Burbo. But just as I say that, jumping over the curbs, getting onto the gravel, and going a bit sideways there, costing him a bit of time and sort of stopping his attack a little bit. Jack Mills. I'm just going to quickly have a talk about Jack Mills. Known in the community for sort of being the driver that always spins or gets a drive through in the race. We have an ongoing thing in 2S. I don't know if you know, Austin. It's called Mills No. It's basically every race almost guaranteed he will make a mistake somewhere, and we have a Mills No moment. Not happened yet though, So hats off to him. I might have just cursed him there by accident, but he's been applying pressure onto Oliver Stricker, who's right ahead of him, also for that P2 position in silver class. Oh, let's cut to Felix Rupert and talk us through what's happening right here.
Yes, so Rupert, again, very similar thing as to what we saw with Higgins and Chomley. Rupert just able to squeeze through the inside there, and it doesn't look like Antoine really put up too much of a fight there. If you know drivers faster than you, you see them gain. So you're looking at the delta as you're driving. You see a driver kind of gain towards you. You know they have the pace on you. It turns into eventually with over half the race to go. What's the point of fighting them? At this point, Antoine's trying to chase down Van der Hooding. Very, very close to just you see it from the onboard there. Van der Hooding just ahead. I believe that Felix overtaking actually kind of pushed them out of attacking range. And right now I think they're aware that maybe Rupert isn't their race, but Van der Hooding is. And if they can hold Van der Hooding up by having a faster driver behind them, make Van der Hooding think about where, if they decide to let Rupert pass, and just hope they hold each other up by fighting a bit. And it seems to be that is what is happening. Rupert still not quite able to get past the 24 of the Pro class. A little bit of a slide there from Van der Hooding. Goes to show, these cars not the easiest to drive in the low speed corners when you have the torque in the power band, but you see Rupert pulling up alongside in the slipstream, an opportunity into the final chicane, diving onto the outside, but Van der Hooding will cover that, and we have an opportunity through the final corner.
Yeah, Rupert obviously got a quali ban for a little bit of a naughty driving throughout the series. I wouldn't say it's 100% his fault, just unfortunate circumstances that have surmounted to a few penalties. So he knows to keep it a bit more calm and collected now. Not calling him a dirty driver in any way, shape, or form. I think just a bit more wrong place, wrong time for him in the previous races. But yeah, Van der Hooding not cracking under pressure as of yet. He's doing quite well to hold Rupert behind him, but saying that, he's only 1.5 seconds off Gareth Higgins in front, so he might actually be catching up to Gareth Higgins, so we could see a three-way fight happening here. I'm just reading through the chat a little bit. Alexander Carson says, Felix going strong. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Welcome back, Alex. It's nice to hear from you. I wonder how it's going with you, and hope you're doing well. Alex Carson was a racer here, I'll say over a year ago, until he quit sim racing. He also was a part of the Renwelts and esports team, which we're watching right now. So he was Rupert's teammate for a few races as well. Brilliant driver, but we haven't seen him race for quite some time due to, he basically sold his equipment. Oh, getting very close to the rear end of Van der Hooding right there does Rupert. And I think this overtake, this is coming soon.
Yeah, Rupert obviously having the pace, stuck to the back of Van der Hooding, with through the S's there, looking for a move on the outside, almost went alongside, switching to the inside. What a move! And that is the sort of racing we like to see here. And it looks like Van der Hooding would actually have a chance to come back. He's coming back. Rupert going wide, putting the power down a bit too soon. Back end comes round, and that will give Van der Hooding a potential opportunity down on the inside of the next high-speed corner, going side by side into the final chicane. Rupert squeezing along, cutting ahead. I mean, that was maybe a little borderline, but a little bit of a block there, and making a mistake through the final chicane, but not enough of a run for Van der Hooding to make a mistake. But Rupert again sideways. Van der Hooding able to get the exit, pulling up again. Opportunity down to P1 into T1, so tucking into the slipstream. Rupert trying to break it, slamming too hard to the inside, covering the inside. And is Van der Hooding going to be able to make a move on the outside or get the switchback? I'm not so certain. I mean, Rupert, amazing driver, amazing racecraft, but not quite able to make it. Van der Hooding not able to make that position back despite the mistakes of Rupert in front. And that was half a lap's worth of battling there, Christian.
That was extremely intense, and just as that happens, Mills, no! He's done it. Somehow he's done it. I'm going to co-catch a replay. Has he spun by himself, or has he been slight? Oh no, he's done it by himself. Ah, and there it is. The expected Mills no moment. I'm sorry, I just saw the yellow flag of the number 27. I'm like, okay, It has to be shown.
There we are. If it's an ongoing thing, it's an ongoing thing, and there we go. Mills bringing the entertainment there, if anything. And there's still another race. Is still able to make back some of those positions. Was going so well for them throughout this race, but obviously there's the ongoing joke there. And it goes to show these cars at the slow speed, as you try to build up the revs, it's so easy to be caught off guard, especially with the elevation changes here at Nürburgring. Tommy Azolin glued to the back of Miklia, a very, very similar pace in qualifying. We saw Azolin, it definitely has the pace to be able to keep up, but so far performing very consistently, and consistency is what will win your races. Obviously, pace will win you qualifying, but qualifying doesn't win races or get podiums, and Azolin right now looking set for at least a podium if they can't make a move on to Miklia in the last 6 minutes of this race.
Yeah, I was been keeping an eye on this battle between Miklia and Azolin. They've been quite close together on track, and I think Miklia has been making a few mistakes that allowed Azolin to catch up. But then last lap, while we're looking at the replay of the Mills no moment, Azolin made a slight mistake himself, so he now has all that job to do again as he gets all sorts of sideways. And that's going to allow Diakovsky to get through. And a huge mistake from Azolin, which drops him out of the podium position. But that's not going to stop him to try and make a slight move up the inside into turn 3 of Diakovsky. Space is given. Brilliant racecraft here. Diakovsky gets a bit sideways. Is he going to try around the outside? Azolin, yes he does.
Yeah.
Does he make the move stick though? Is he able to recover from his mistake he just made early on in the few corners? Yes he does. So he's back up to P3 now. So his podium position is safe. However, he now has quite a margin to Andrei Miklia ahead of him. So that P2 position might just have slipped out of his hands right there and then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's safe to say that the podium's safe either. I mean, he's still under pressure from Diakovsky. That mistake cost him big time, but it goes to show that no Mills moment can happen to just about anyone. and no, that's a lot of time and a lot of effort that's just been undone there for the 44 Porsche. I mean, still 5 minutes of the race left to go, and are they going to be held up by having to go defensive? Is Miklia still within sight to be able to, can Azolin still catch up to the 31? I'm not entirely certain if that's possible, because Diakovsky themselves are under pressure from Chumley as well. So, I mean, with the final closing 4.5 minutes to go, Christian, I think this could be anyone's final step of the podium.
It definitely can be, and we saw Azolin, he made that mistake. If he succumbs to pressure again, then that's going to be Diakovsky and Chumley right behind him, ready to pounce. His saving grace earlier was he was a bit ahead of them, and now he's not anymore. And is he jumping over those curbs? I've also mentioned in the earlier series, it is a 20-minute race to be fair, but tire wear is quite a big thing in these cars. They fall off quicker than GT3s, partly because they have no traction, also partly because they have less downforce. So they're much more sensitive. It's a bit like the M2 Cup cars we've been commentating on in the Thursday series at RCI. Tire wear, small mistakes, small sideways motions can cost you a lot, and also grain your tires in ways you don't want them to, which you might feel a little bit under braking or under traction. So we actually saw Sam Chumley getting quite close to the rear end of Diakovsky there into turn 1, but doesn't manage to hit him, thankfully, and he's lining up another move.
Yeah, I mean, with Diakovsky just being backed up a little bit there, it does kind of open them up to an attack from Chumley. And as you say, the tire drop off in these cars is so... It's so important. You see the front inside locking there with the elevation change with the camber going into the corner. I mean, it's great that we get to see that, but it's not great for the 111 in terms of front tire life. And with no tire blankets, you're kind of really relying on the formation lap to kind of warm the tires up as much as you can, because otherwise, if you push the tires too far when they're cold, it grains them even more. So you can kind of damage the tires before you even get the chance to properly race, and you just don't ever really recover that graining. Sometimes you can recover graining, and you can just kind of scrub off the top layer just by driving smoothly. But in these cars, that's not really a thing. And given how twitchy we've seen them in T1 with the likes of Azolin and Mills, tire preservation is so important around any track in these, but especially with these cup cars. And it looks like Chumley is just dropping off the pace a little bit, going down into the final chicane, bouncing off the curb, able to take so much, but Azolin appears to be building a bit of a gap there to Diakovsky.
Yeah, and we've been seeing these Porsche Cup cars jumping over the curbs. They're actually quite good over the curbs, as I tested one myself in Zolder, hopping over the chicanes, and they react quite well to bumps, I'd say, but it doesn't take a lot for them to be unsettled if you take too much curb. But oh, Aslan going a little bit deep there. That's going to allow Diakowski to maybe have a look around the inside, but it's not quite close enough to make it stick, but he is close enough to have a think about a move now. And it just seems like Aslan, he has the pace to get ahead, but he's making all these small mistakes, and Diakowski, keeping it calm and collected, is just able to pounce whenever he makes these mistakes. I've just noticed the leader of Silver Class has now returned to the pit lane. I wonder if he's made a mistake somewhere. Mihai Belascu, who was leading Silver, is now in the pit lane, so he's lost his lead somehow. Daniel Cofield is now promoted to the leader in Silver Class, with Oliver Stricker in P2 and Jasper Smelt in P3.
Yeah, obviously, I think Belascu was one of the drivers that we saw earlier, going off at the final chicane. So I wonder if they kind of rejoined the track afterwards and lost a fair few positions, and maybe got a little, I don't want to say frustrated or flustered, but it can happen. We've definitely seen it in ACC before, and I wouldn't blame any driver for doing it. Mills, after the spin in P19, as we cut to, still chasing down the likes of Castle. Mills having the pace to get by. It looks like Castle has actually been involved in an incident. I wonder if that was the lap 1 incident we saw down there into T5.
Yeah,
but,
I do believe he was collected that in some way, shape or form. But Jack Mills making a bit of a recovery drive now, hoping to try and get past Castle, to at least salvage 1 point in the Silver Class at least. We see Ben Lowes in front of him actually with a lot of damage, so he might potentially get 2 positions here. But we are just about to start the last lap, so there's not much time left for these drivers to make their overtakes.
No, only 30 seconds remaining on the clock, and as you say, 1 last lap to make it happen. But close enough. Obviously overtaking Belascu retiring to pits, so will not finish this race, it seems. But that will promote Mills up a position. But the position we're all wondering is, can they get that overtake on Castle? 1 final lap to go. They seem to have the pace.
Oh, there's been an issue.
This is Miklia appears. Miklia seems to have made a mistake, and I believe that was contact, pushing us on wide, going onto the outside of the Mercedes. I believe it's the Mercedes complex. Yes, it is the Mercedes arena. Diakowski managing to pull up on the outside. Something at the crossroad. Diakowski going wide, taking to the grass, and the order remaining unchanged. But Azolin thinking about an attack on the inside there, but not quite close enough to make anything happen. And as we're riding onto the back wing of Miklia now, you see just how close these 4 cars are. That's Miklia, Azolin, Diakowski, and Chomley, all in a line, fighting for P2 and P3 on the podium. With the final lap to go, 1 mistake from Miklia, and this could be from anyone in this train. And these positions could change so drastically. Azolin pulling into the inside of S is again not quite able to get close enough. But only a few turns left to go, Christian. Will they find an opportunity to get by?
Oh, this is very intense racing from all the drivers. I think Miklia made a mistake going into turn 1, getting a little bit sideways, and then Tommy Aslan got caught out a little bit by it. Was able to catch up as well. Aslan a bit sideways there. That's not what he wants to see, but Miklia has actually gone a little bit deep. Is that going to allow Aslan to get the run he needs into the chicane? Obviously, it's the last lap. We will keep on with this battle, so Orlando Reds is going to cross the line. We'll have a look at him after this battle is over and they've crossed the line. But it looks like currently that Aslan may be looking around the outside but not quite able to make it stick. Will Miklia survive through the chicane? It looks like he's got a bad run. Actually, Aslan taps the back of it. In the background, on the rear mirror, we see Diakowski spinning around, so that's going to allow Chumley to get up to P5 as Aslan pushing Miklia through the corner, but I don't think that's enough to get that P2 position. And Diakowski, who was spun around, is going to finish in P7 with that battle with Chumley. I don't think we can catch a replay of it. We might just be able to. No, it's not in the replay tool. But what a finish here in this first race we had for a Porsche Cup. So Orlando Reds, winner of the first race, dominant drive, didn't put a foot wrong, and just 14 seconds ahead of P2, which is Andrei Miklia, who was followed very closely by Tommy Aslan, putting up a great fight there at the end. With Sam Chumley in P4 somehow. Gareth Higgins P5, Felix Ruppert from P17 all the way up to P6. A brilliant drive from him as well. The winner of Silver Class, we have... Oh, as Ruppert goes spinning. We have... Daniel Cofield celebrating his win as well. Obviously, people, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We have a race 2 coming up. And the action is going to be just as much as this one. I can guarantee it. So we have the winner of Silver Class here doing donuts for you if you love to see it. What do you think of that race, Austin?
I mean, it had everything, didn't it? It had the lap one drama. Obviously, we weren't wanting to see it down into T1, but I think it's something that we all kind of quite secretly all kind of look out for. But no, it had close racing. It had some great talent, on the grid as well, setting some times, with Rats finishing 40 cents. There's the Ren Welton guys, obviously having a little bit of fun with things.
Oh.
The Black Falcon
I
cars.
don't know if you can show that on stream.
Do you know something? Christian, I always did wonder where baby Porsches come from, where Boxsters and Caymans, where they happen, and now we know. There we go. We're an education channel as well here, folks.
Exactly. So we do have that 5-minute practice session before we go to race 2, and I think this is a good time to just quickly go through the liveries a little bit and talk about some of the drivers here we have on the grid. I don't think anyone's going to go out, as the conditions do seem to be similar to what we had earlier, but a bit more cloudy, so we might see a little bit of rain during the race. Sam Chumley, obviously finishing P4 in the first race, had a brilliant race, was sort of just hanging in there, really. Didn't make any mistakes. Diakovsky we saw spinning in the rearview mirror of Tommy Azulin as he was fighting Chumley in the final few stages. Jack Mills, he had a second moment as well, I saw at the end with the yellow flags of the 27. But of course, we're not going to show that one because we were busy looking at the other incident. Oliver Stricker, P2 in silver class, well done to him. And we have Antoine Olive as well, the Porsche badged livery car, pretty good position as well from him. Alex Burbo, good race from him. One of these Red Bull cars, I believe it is the 31 of Miklia, had a mistake somewhere. I didn't quite know what the mistake was, but Tommy Aslin very nearly put, as you mentioned in chat, put on a show and almost took that P2 position from mistake. You see the Red Bull livery cars actually lined up together. This is a nice little display there. Have a few cars going track. You see Daniel Kofi. I'm going to quickly go have a look at Tommy Aslin as well, repping the Carlos Rivas livery. So the Porsche Cup driver from Luxembourg, also as the same as Tommy Aslin. Both these drivers representing their country with that livery. And that's obviously this livery we've talked about before. Do you have any other comments apart from wow, amazing?
I mean that's the first thing that comes to mind when see this one, really, Christian, isn't it? I guess the comments are it's really neat. We've seen, obviously we're, in terms of hardware, with a company such as Fanatec, we're seeing a bridge of sim racing to real life, obviously with the Bentley rim and the BMW rim. And I believe one of the cars at Goodwood, it actually set the world record. I believe it's the McCarthy car, was actually using the Fanatec Podium hub as for the semi-automatic gear shifters. I mean, it's a great run if you guys want to go back and watch that in your own time.
Very exciting run.
So it's really cool as well to see kind of the artistic side of sim racing coming out into real life as well, and that gap is being forever kind of sort of bridged, and the two genres of racing are so close together now. That we're starting to see livery designers, we're seeing hardware designers, and the software as well, emulating the cars as closely as we can in real life. It's amazing to see. No other type of game, maybe aside from flight sims, but definitely no other esports is the same in terms of what we have here with sim racing and ACC.
Yeah, I think the only thing you really could compare it to is potentially the sport games of FIFA, NBA 2K and stuff like that, but because that's the only other game I can really think about that also runs a real life series. But that's the thing with esports and sim racing. It's two very different things that are just sharing the same passion of a car going fast. And as you said, the bridging of the gap between the two, the real life and the sim world, is it's great to see. And we're seeing more and more sim races come through the ranks and drive real life series as well, as we progress in in life. Just more people getting the opportunity to race that we wouldn't have seen 5-10 years ago due to the cost caps, and then people can show their talent on the sim racing world and get scouted into a real life car in that way.
Exactly. I mean, look at the likes of James Baldwin, Jimmy Broadbent. We're seeing a lot of drivers, as you say, they're coming up through the game into real cars, and the likes of Baldwin, doing fairly well. Even Jimmy, currently leading the Prague Endurance Cup here in the UK. Doing in the second season, doing fairly well with it too. Obviously, and it's great. I say it a lot, but it is great to see. And I kind of want to just round off, before I throw the ball back to you here, Christian, we're going to just round it off with a quote of Jimmy's. and that is the cars aren't real, but the racing is, and I don't think that could be any more true.
Yeah, that's a very well way to put it. And also the physics are extremely similar, so you still get the adrenaline, you still get the feel of the car, you still get what the quote basically says, the racing aspect. It's just as real as in real life, and if you get good at it in the sim, of course you will be able to translate some of that skill into real life, and some drivers do it better than others, as you mentioned, Jimmy Broadbent and James Baldwin. We also had the F1 esports driver, was Bolak Busi or whatever his name is, Cem, I believe, from Turkey, driving in F2 as well. So
yeah, I heard about that. No, falling off each other. No, it's cool. It's cool. No, I wanted to mention that as well, but I couldn't remember the name. But no, I do know the F1 esports has actually given some of their drivers the opportunity to drive real cars as well. And I believe one of them, I can't remember their name now, but one of them actually did fairly well in their first race as well. So yeah, no, the relationship between sim racing and real racing is it's great to see.
It really is, and I was gonna quickly have a look at Daniel Cofield. He's an example. I mean, his livery, right? It is an identical livery to the one he runs on his rallycross car, which he does in real life. But I wouldn't say he's gone the same routes. He's sort of just, his dad had a rallycross car. He's like, hey, yo, son, want to drive? He's like, yeah, sure. But he's been able to translate his skills from the sim world to rallycross, and he got a podium in his second race. So he's done really well. And I was just gonna, let's have a quick walk around of this livery actually before we go to the second race session. Everything you see, all the sponsors, all the stickers, all the names, and all that, that is also on his real-life Peugeot 206. So try and imagine this livery on a Peugeot 206, and there you go. You have Daniel Cofield doing rallycross.
I love that, and I love the passion that people have, able to, take their cars in real life and bring them into the game, despite it being a different make and model. And again, I also want to say the community as well. Like communities in like certain leagues in real racing, they're quite close knit. Like everyone, you're racing with people. Everyone knows everyone, and it's much the same in sim racing as well. And yeah, no, I believe the two are a lot closer than what a lot of people think.
Definitely are, and it's just getting closer and closer nowadays. So I look forward to seeing the time when a normal person could pick up a sim, have a good 2-3 years of practice, and then could get join a team, as that's one of their sort of like an academy team, but they start in esports, so it doesn't discriminate against people who cannot basically afford the huge price they cost to get into racing.
Yeah, I mean that's the unfortunate truth of running a car in real life. Race cars aren't cheap, and they're not cheap to build, buy, or run. So it's quite sad. It's unfortunate. I mean, I know in my lifetime I'll never get to drive a Porsche Cup car or a GT3, or let alone anything like Formula One or LMP. But at least I have this, and we have this, and maybe that's good enough.
Definitely, it is good enough. It catches our itches. I'm just going to quickly do a little circle there to show this first sector, but we're going to go back up to... I was at the Nürburgring once. I saw this roller coaster. I've seen it in game, but I saw it in real life and thought, first of all, it goes through the building. It starts inside the building. I've never seen it run, but this must be an insane roller coaster to be on. Just imagine the speeds going all the way down here, and then you get to go across the track and all that. And
oh, that's so cool.
Sadly, it wasn't running when I visited the Nürburgring in real life, but I'd like to try that someday. Anyways, here's the grid. We are missing one driver. I can't quite put my finger on who it is, but they have left maybe for... Oh, it is Vito Sorvinsky, who said he had wheel issues. His force feedback kept cutting off. But we're just going to have a little bit look at the grid one last time before we go into the final race. We had great racing in race 1. We didn't have that much carnage, though. A little bit of carnage. If anything is to go by from our RCI Thursday times, if we have 2 races, one is calm and collected, one is carnage. Question is, which one is which?
Well, maybe that lap one incident is like all the fun. I'll say all the fun, but all the fun we'll see. But no, looking at the weather, obviously you guys can see that in the top right hand corner, just above the @2s community on the for the Instagram there. The weather looking like it's just going to stay cloudy for the next half hour. It was only a 20-minute race, so it looks like we're expecting no rain at all. 1 km/h wind and a 24-degree track surface with a 20-degree ambient with an optimum track, so the track's rubbered in. So you know these cars, it's the best possible conditions for these cars to run in. So we should see some good racing.
Yeah, and good racing alongside fast lap times. And I've just been told in chat the air pressure inside the tunnel is dangerous for the roller coaster, so it's been built, but it's actually never been used.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So it's just used as decoration, I assume.
That's like the only reason to keep it, but that's surprising, yet kind of cool at the same time. I don't know what to make of that, because that can't have been cheap to build.
Definitely not.
You know? So, it's in a way, it kind of reminds me of the Ferris wheel at Suzuka. Another total landmark, amusement kind of ride on the start-finish straight. And it's amazing, racetracks, for a spectator, they're more than just a track. There's entire facilities around the track as well on the infield. To see like full fairgrounds, that's so cool.
Yeah, it definitely is, and also I can imagine in the endurance races that are held at Suzuka, if you book a ticket while the endurance race happens at night, I imagine it is insanely beautiful to watch from that Ferris wheel. And yeah, it's a nice way to get extra money from the fans, isn't it? But it's also a nice experience for the fans. And I would really like to try that someday. Maybe not Suzuka, maybe one of the other tracks that have a Ferris wheel. I think Suzuka's a bit of a far reach, as I am based in Europe. But I can imagine a Ferris wheel at nighttime during an endurance race. It must be something special.
Yeah, I mean, I never even thought of that element. But no, you're entirely right, Christian. It must be amazing. If anyone's ever actually done that, put it in chat. I'm sure we'd both love to hear that kind of experience. And looking at the, it always amuses me these cars ghosting on the outlap of these races.
Alright, usually we play Can You Find Jesse Lee, but that's more of an RCI thing than 2S, so I'm just gonna have a look. Can we find Timo, who was our old commentator? I don't know if there's anyone there that looks like Timo. If Timo's watching, well, here you go. This is Timo. Everyone wave at Timo, and sadly he's not commentating anymore, but he was our commentator for about a good solid 6 seasons. So everyone who's been here before will know Timo, and I'm sure they also miss him a little bit. But he might be back for season 10, but I'm not sure. It's not been confirmed yet. But the cars, they're lining up, so as you see Danny heating up his tires. Cars lining up, getting ready for the final race. I can't wait to see what's about to happen, Dawson.
Yeah, no, again, this is a lot of anticipation. Only a few more corners to go until we get under green flag conditions again. It is quite exciting. I don't know about you, but I'm nervous. Again, T1 Nürburgring, which we spoke about it before, it is a potential site for a bit of a disaster. So I'm maybe just as nervous as some of the drivers right now as we round to the final hairpin.
I think nerves are running through the spectators, the commentators, the broadcaster, and the drivers. Everyone in one go has a lot of nerves in this start-finish straight. What's about to happen? Are we going to have carnage into T1? Are we going to have some brilliant overtakes? We're not sure. Green flag's about to drop. Who's going to get the better start? Questions will be answered very shortly as Orlando Retz gets a brilliant start, but so does Andre Miklia. More alongside this time around than he was last round. And it looks like Tommy Alsen going for the outside. But, contact already. That is Miklia flying off the road, but contact behind between Dirkowski and I believe that is Belascu. Luckily, no one gets hurt by it. And there seems to be a bit more of a spread field now. Already there's a car flying off the track there in the background. I believe that is Martin Muller, who's been collected in some sort of incident. We'll have to look at the replays later on, but let's continue with the battles happening on track at the moment. So a bit more carnage into T1. Miklia and Orlando Retz getting together before the corner happens, and somehow Miklia survives and keeps it out the wall, but that has cost him quite some time as you see him fending for his life now between Alex Burbo and Daniel Cope in the background, right ahead of him, Antoine Olive as well, going side by side with Sam Chumley, and is that Ruben van den Hudding just about to make an overtake on Belascu?
Well, the Bonk racing car certainly living up to its name there, down into T1, and just squeezing on the inside, keeping their position going down. Cars going 2 wide, 3 wide. I believe that's Antoine Olive fending off from, I believe that's Miklia and Chumley. Chumley looks like they got collected in that T1 melee as well. Again, just sort of settling into a bit of a rhythm. That's Daniel Caulfield taking a cheeky look on the outside of Burbo there in the 97. Not able to make anything from it. Just a little bit too far back, squeezed off just a little bit wide. But I think that T1 carnage there, Christian, I think that was just that was Miklia getting a great run on Rats. And as the track kind of kinks to the right, and that's Chumley off.
That is Chumley off.
Able to rejoin with minimal contact, but that's Burbo, I believe. Rupert already catching up to, I believe this is just outside the top 10. From the back of the grid, going on board with Rupert now. Chumley fighting with Cofield. Cofield is obviously in a different class here as well, but fighting for overall points. Rupert will be boxed in, having to take to the outside to avoid contact. Chumley hit from the rear by Burbo.
Oh my god, there's more contact!
Rupert tagged! Rupert tagged by, I believe that might be Smelt.
That's correct, Smelt.
Oh wow.
Everything's happening. It's not stopping.
Do you know, Christian, you said that sometimes one race is often calm and relaxed, and the second, and one race is has a little bit more going on. I think we're starting to see that come through now.
Oh, definitely. And what happened there was Rupert. He was going to make an overtake on Sam Chumley, but he got caught out by Daniel Cofield breaking ahead of him. So he had to take avoiding action on the outside and get into the marbles as well, in order to not hit the rear of Daniel Cofield, which cost him about 3 positions. And then on his rejoin, he got tagged a little bit by Jasper Smelt, and now he has to get through Nico Veldman as well, who is trying to defend from Rupert. So Rupert made his way up to P10, had a brilliant overtake through the chicane with Sam Chumley getting caught up in a little slight incident with Antoine Olive, I believe, and then he threw it all away, trying to outbrake Chumley into turn 1 without realizing Daniel Cofield was ahead of him. Oh, a little bit of contact again as Rupert trying to make his heroic drive, but it all seems to be going wrong for him at the moment.
Yeah, maybe a little bit aggressive from Rupert there. Obviously, it's not my place to say. That will be obviously we do have the post-race stewarding, so that they'll be kept busy with that. But Rupert, very aggressive move there on Chumley, just trying to make back some of the spaces they'd missed. I was actually going to praise Rupert for taking to the outside in the T1 kind of carnage there. You know, it takes a lot to kind of recognize the situation. And again, this is why these drivers are so good. Their accident and their awareness and their accident avoidance is so good. But again, going to the front of the grid, that's Azolin in the 44, catching up to Rats, still stuck to the back end of. And maybe this might be a chance, you know, for Azolin to put the pressure on Rats, making Rats go a little bit defensive, make them think about their moves, and preventing them from running away. There's a 14-second gap in the last race. Azolin just putting the power down just a little too soon there, losing a little bit of time, losing the back end, and that might have given Rats a little bit of breathing room that they've been looking for.
Definitely has been, and Azolin, brilliant to keep up with Rats, and we saw earlier that, oh no, wait, I just seen yellow flags, and that's Rupert. He's gone to the pit lane. What's happened there? Let's have a look at the replay. So Rupert, he's had his mistake somewhere, or an incident of some sort. Please don't tell me he's collided with Ben Lowe's, and it looks like, he's not in condition. Oh, he's lost it by himself.
Lost the back end, and that's what, again, we said it before, but no traction control. Engine right over the rear axle. As soon as the car starts sliding, it acts as a pendulum, and that's what we see. You lose control of the car completely. Rupert putting it into the wall, retiring from the race. I mean, already making their way from the back, had a great first few laps, you know, catching up to inside the top 10, and been caught out there, and it's an unfortunate end to Rupert's race.
I'm gonna quote Rupert's favorite driver and say, "Mein Gott, muss das sein!" With the way his race ended there, with he was fighting his fellow Luxembourgish driver of Ben Lowe's, and it's all gone. Was ist los? That's all I can say. Jack Mills, I'm sorry, I've just caught the yellow flags. What's happened here? Let's have a look. Oh, Mills.
No, Mills!
Mills,
No!
no! Oh my god!
Oh no, Mills! I believe that's Miller. Muller. So yes,
Yeah, Muller,
looking at the replay there on the bottom right hand side there. Just Mills losing it a little bit at the top of the hill there, and
Oh no, he's done it again!
No, Mills, no!
Oh no! Oh, oh that is.
I feel so bad for Lathy. I apologise, but obviously I started the chat before the Mills no moment. There it is. Again, Mills bringing that entertainment to both races. Unfortunate for themselves, but oh no.
Oh, poor Mills. He's struggling in these cars, that's for sure. But I will say he's been providing great content for us. We just come off the replay where he loses it, and he loses it again. Brilliant stuff. Great timing from Jack, I will say. Anyways, Ruben van den Hudding up to P5, applying pressure on Gareth Higgins. I don't believe these two were racing together in the previous race, but they are now. And Ruben looks like he has the pace, but so does Higgins. I think it's going to be another case of who makes the first mistake and who is able to capitalize on those mistakes. While this battle is happening, there's another battle happening with Antoine Olive, Daniel Cofield, and Sam Chumley. Sam Chumley has caught up a little bit behind Daniel Cofield now, and he might be a little bit of trouble, even though he's in a different class.
Yeah, I mean, obviously fighting for overall points is, we were running through this before, obviously with me being new here, Christian filling me in. Silver Pro drivers fighting for the same championship despite there also being a Silver Class 2. So, these drivers have everything to play for. There's no real reason for Cofield to let Chumley by. Especially at this point in time, there's a bit of a Chumley acting as a buffer between Cofield and Belescu. Belescu was very, very quick, and Cofield looking at two class wins, and I believe I may have just cursed them as they missed the inside of the chicane. Chumley will take the inside line. Cofield having to sort of react and being pushed off their line. That will compromise their exit and allow Belescu that opportunity to kind of catch up, but Cofield tucking into the slipstream there of Chumley. And that buffer now obviously lost, and with 11 minutes or 12 minutes of the race remaining, that's going to be a tall order for Cofield to block or to keep Belescu behind.
Yeah, Belescu obviously set the car on pole ahead of some of the pro drivers as well, so he does have the pace. I'm just looking at his lap times as well. Last lap he did a 157.3, and Daniel Cofield did 157.9 with that mistake. So I don't know how accurate that is to go off, but it does sort of seem like Belescu is a little bit faster than Daniel Cofield at the time. Can Cofield get another win for his silver class again in this race, or will he have to put up a big fight and keep Belescu behind in order to get this? As I believe Belescu does seem to have a bit more pace at the moment, and he will be able to make an overtake, or at least attempt one, in the near future.
Yeah, Belescu showing absolute pace in the silver class so far, especially in the in qualifying and in practice. But as we saw in race 1, they made that small mistake into the chicane, which put them into the wall. And obviously a little bit of drama going on in this race too, which has put them behind into P2 in class behind Cofield. So again, but with Cofield in sight with no car between them, it's a straight attack if Belescu can keep up. So it's going to be a case of consistency, I think, for both drivers. Belescu having to be slightly consistently slightly faster than Cofield, but running wide there, going down the hill, has left them open to attack from Nico Veldman. Veldman, again, very, very quick driver, up on the outside, making the move done in the chicane, not missing the final part of the chicane, running onto the outside curb, and that move will be done. And Cofield will be so happy looking at that in the mirror, knowing that there's now that car between themselves and Belescu. But again, maybe that's a little bit optimistic, because obviously these cars are fighting for the same points, and obviously another car past Cofield is less points on the table at the end of the race here.
That is true, although I believe the silver drivers, they care more about the silver championship than the overall championship, so he'll still be smiling seeing that Nico Veldman made that overtake. Nico, he capitalized on the mistake by Belescu and did a beautiful dive around the outside, and up to P10 he goes. Nice to see him have a bit of success today in this race. I've also noticed Ben Lewis in the background, he's been catching up to this little battle as well, so he might eventually try and do something to try and get past Belescu, although I think they're all running very similar in pace. Now, can Nico Veldman catch up to Daniel Cofield, and will Belescu be able to keep up? Or Oh, is Nico Wellman actually makes a mistake. I was just going to say, is Nico Wellman going to slow down Velasco behind him? And if he's making mistakes like that, Velasco's not able to overtake. That's exactly what's happening. So Daniel Cofield, the gap is building between him and P2 and Silver. I'm sure he's smiling behind that seat right now.
Yeah, I could only imagine, and I mean, two class victories in one weekend. I mean, you can't turn your nose up at that as you see Belescu running onto the gravel there on the exit of the Schumacher S's. That will not do anything for their lap time. So maybe a touch flustered as we see Feldman making another slight. I don't want to call it a mistake. I mean, it was great catching it, but no, it's certainly not going to help their lap time at all. Ruben van der Hudding. In the 24, we've seen the livery that we've pointed out several times. They're catching up to the back of Higgins, and I'm wondering if they can return the favour that I believe it was Chomley that overtook Higgins in race 1, getting the exit on the final corner, going down on the run down to T1. And I'm wondering now if Van der Hudding can return that favour. I don't think they can.
He's not quite close enough on this lap to make that overtake, but he has been applying the pressure consistently. It looks like Higgins has been slightly faster though, but just by the finest of margins. So last lap both of them did a 56.5, but Higgins did a 56.54 and Ruben did a 56.56. So it's very closely packed, these lap times. However, there is a slight advantage to Higgins. I think we're seeing it a little bit now as Ruben slowly but surely falling a little bit behind. But all it takes is one mistake from Gareth Higgins. And we have seen him make mistakes before, and we've also seen Ruben van den Hudding put on insane pressure in the drivers ahead. So this is anyone's taker at the moment. 7 minutes left in the race. I don't think it's over yet. I would love to see a last lap battle between these two drivers.
I mean, they certainly these drivers certainly delivered before, and that was Belescu making a small mistake there on corner exit, and that has allowed, as you said, Ben Lowes was catching and has now caught and is in within striking distance of Belescu going down into the chicane, into the Schumacher S's even, going up the hill. Both cars really opening up that corner. You see just how much of the curb they actually take. Going up the Belescu, skimming the inside gravel. We've seen that a lot with them this time round. Going down into the chicane towards the downhill section. Belescu able to pull up a bit of a gap and is safe for the time being. Over Stricker, I believe that is making a small. Actually, no, it wasn't making. That was Smelt. That was Smelt making a mistake there on the corner exit. I stand corrected, which allows Stricker the opportunity down into the final chicane with 6 minutes 20 of the race remaining. There is still the opportunity to get by.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on this battle. I've noticed Oliver Stricker was slowly but surely catching up to Jasper Smalt. I'm not going to say I'm biased or anything, but I kind of hope to see him over. Oh, he's going for a huge dive on the inside. That's going to compromise his exit, so he won't be able to do anything to turn 1. But that was him showing himself in the mirrors of Jasper Smalt. Maybe trying to spook him a little bit or something into a mistake. Applying the pressure. His team name is to bonk or not to bonk. Well, Ollie, I think to not to bonk is the way to go here. So closing into turn 1 as well. This fight is it's going to be interesting to watch, because these two drivers, I've seen them on track before. They produce some good battles, and I hope they will do so again today.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be running side by side, and great thinking there from Oliver. You know, to just backing out of that, backing out of the move. I think they were going for the move on the final corner there, but realizing, you know, with Smelt making the mistake and was going to kind of catch the car and cut back onto the inside. That was really smart thinking from Stricker there to not go for the move and avoiding the collision there. Speaking of collision, I believe that was a slight bit of contact there between Van den Hudding and Higgins. A little bit of damage there on the back of Higgins' car. You just see on the black paintwork there, you just see the silver bit of the metal shining through. Not enough to ruin anyone's race, but definitely will show up in the and affect the safety ratings of both drivers. Not that that's a huge race, but you know, obviously with the contact, the game does say contact between car 1 and car 2. There you go. There's the look at the damage there caused in that hairpin. But it goes to show just how much quicker Van den Hudding it actually is in some of the parts of the track, and this will open up an opportunity potentially towards the end of the race. 4.5 minutes of the race left remaining, guys.
Indeed there is, and I just noticed Antoine Olivier has been catching up to Andre Mikli as well as he goes very deep into the chicane. Is he able to catch this car on the rejoin? Yes, he is. I just caught Antoine in the moment there. Maybe he saw himself on the TV cameras and got surprised or something. But that is now putting him into the clutches of Sam Chumley. Is Sam Chumley going to make an overtake into turn 1? I don't think he's close enough, but quite a hairy moment there for Antoine Olivier. I've been keeping an eye on the gap between the battle between Smelt and Stricker, and that has opened up quite some bits, so I think Oliver Stricker has made a mistake somewhere.
Yeah, it would not surprise me. I mean, like you said, that gap has increased. I want to make a note on Chumley, actually, Christian, because we say in racing, consistency is more important than pace. And I think Chumley's been a prime example of that. Obviously, just by being consistent and sticking with the top group in race 1, was able to kind of take advantage of the demise of Diakowski picking up the podium. And again, we're seeing the same sort of thing here. They got caught out a little bit in the lap one melee. That was a setback for them, but is still keeping within the top 10, and not necessarily setting the fastest lap times out there on the field, but able to take advantage of other people's mistakes and keep it clean themselves. And that consistency is really showing through. Yeah,
he definitely is a very consistent driver. He is a 2-time champion at 2S. One of 2 drivers have done that. Alex Garson being the other driver has done it. We saw him before in chat. And is that Higgins off the track? That is Higgins off the track. Yes. Oh, is he gonna? Oh my God!
Great thinking, great thinking of Van den Hudding there, hitting the brakes, seeing what was going on, seeing
days.
Higgins go wide and losing it on the bumps. You see a replay now.
Oh, actually,
no, that wasn't Higgins' own fault. Yeah, that was contact between the 2 cars. That's. All I can say, Christian, I think the stewards are going to be pretty busy at the end of the race, but that wasn't maybe necessarily the best way of getting by there. I have to admit.
Yeah, that was... Ben Lowe's getting all sorts of sideways. He managed to get past Mihai Belasco. Belasco getting sideways. Is he able to control his car? Before he gets into turn... he's jumping over the pit lane. Gets his car under control and stays in P10. That's allowed Ben Lowe's to get a bit more of a gap. But Harry driving between both of the drivers. His car jumping all over the curbs. Giving us great entertainment today. And wow. It seems like just as I cut to someone, they catch the glimpse of themselves in TV cameras, and it goes all the way through the roof in their driving standards. But great catches from both drivers. I was sure Mihai Belasco was going to crash there, but he managed to keep the car under control.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely seem to be cursed this evening. Everyone we cut to, so maybe we could set up an opportunity with this. Set up like a little bit of a Patreon. Donate money and choose who we cut to next. But no, that's a joke, guys. And you said about Belascu. That's Belascu off. Looking at the replay now, we were just praising them for how they kept it out of the wall, losing the back end of the car, losing control, and hitting the wall there. I believe that's done in the Mercedes complex. Oh no, that's a shame to see. Resetting back to pits, and I believe that's their race over, and they'll start dropping down the order. Yet again, I believe they also didn't finish race 1 either. So, that's
unfortunate.
That's not what you want to see at all.
It is the final lap now, so I kind of hoped he maybe would have just finished the race at that point rather than return to pit lane. He will still get points because he's completed over 75% of the race. Diakowski trying another move on the chicane for Özlin as we go into the final lap. And he almost has a moment like we had last race where he lost it through the chicane and allowed Özlin a little bit of the breathing space. But almost a last lap attempt there by Diakowski. Nearly makes a stick, but Özlin stays in P2, and he has one more lap to protect himself from Diakowski behind. Now,
Miklier and Chumley in a last lap 3-way fight. I mean, where have we seen this before? I wonder. Chumley sending it down the outside of T1 there, trying to hang on the outside. That will obviously grant them the inside to T2, but not able to hold on. Miklier again ahead of the trade of cars, able to hold them off. Maybe we'll have to see during this lap. Chumley taking the outside line. Olivier going very defensive on the inside.
Get a good exit here.
Is it going to be? Yeah, is it the exit we need though, Christian? That's the question. I don't think it is. I think they had to hold back. Olivier parking on the exit, looking at a move on Miklier. I mean, I don't envy anyone's position here in this fight.
Oh my gosh, Chumley basically pushing Antoine through the corner, encouraging him to get a great exit. Work might go 3 wide into the hairpin, but Antoine Olivier going on the outside, breaks a little bit later than sorry, not Velasco, Miklia, but it's gone a bit deep, and that's allowed Sam Chumley to go up the inside of Antoine Olive, so he loses a position there to Sam Chumley. Brilliant capitalization there from Sam. Is he able to get a move on Miklia as well in this sector? It doesn't look like his Miklia's actually pulled a bit of a gap. Antoine Olive looking to get back at Sam Chumley. Up the inside he goes. Is he going to make this move stick? A little bit late in the brakes. Oh, contact on the switchback. And that's Antoine Olive back up to P7. P6 as it stands. And, brilliant little battle between these drivers, but I believe that's over. Orlando Reds has crossed the line.
Yeah, Rats has crossed the line, and that will be the winner of race 2 as well. But by how much, we'll have to see. Diakowski trying to make a move on Azolin, going down into the final lap in the final corner, not able to make anything stick. 10 seconds gap between Rats and Azolin, so a little bit less than last race, but I think they were put into more pressure at the start. But the fight that we've just been following, Chomley coming in 7th, Olive coming in 6th, and Mikler coming in P5, obviously was on for a podium, tried to go for a last first lap fight for the lead. And I believe that's Stricker going wide down into the final turn, trying to make a last lap move onto Veldman. Not going to happen, unfortunately. But no, they will cross the line in P12.
Orlando Reds, your double race winner today here in Nürburgring for the third round of the Porsche Cup Challenge at 2S. Brilliant performance by him. Unfortunate result from Felix Rupert, who had a great race 1, but his race 2 was cut short by an incident and a spin. And you see Orlando Reds drifting through the corner, showing his car control with this Porsche Cup car. Tommy Aslan, I want to say double podium for him as well. The only other driver to do it today, apart from Reds, who's got a double win. Brilliant result from him today, as in that P2 position, fending off Diakowski at the end, who takes the final podium position. Let's cut back down to Danny, who is currently actually in the pit lane, vibing. No donuts this time around, but he's also won his second race today in silver class as he leaves the session. But Sam Chumley also put up a great fight, who is currently parked on the start-finish straight. Maybe take a bit of a breather. I can imagine the adrenaline is through the roof at the moment. But what a race that has been from our drivers today, and great entertainment, at least from our side. And I hope you guys in chat have also been enjoying the racing today. We saw carnage, we saw drama, we saw some brilliant battles. This round of Porsche Cup Challenge had it all.
Yeah, as you said before, you can't really argue with that at all, and maybe a bit of an upset there as well. I mean, Rupert, obviously having the qualifying ban, had in practice at least had the pace to keep up with Rats, with the Ren Melton team, but obviously not able to make anything out of it in the race. So maybe a slight bit of an upset there. And Belascu had the pace to take silver, but obviously unfortunate incidents in both races. So we really did have everything, didn't we?
We really did. And I want to say just quickly, everyone in chat, thank you very much for keeping us company. It's been a pleasure to have you watching along and chatting with us. If you're interested in this sort of racing, the link to the Discord will be in the description. And we run a series every Monday. Generally, we run a GT3 series as our main series that is 8 rounds. But now that it's summer holidays, we're running a bit of a special series. And we're currently in the round 3 or 4 of Porsche Cup. But we have another special series coming after that one as well. So if you're interested in that, please make sure to check the link in the description. And join us today for an incredible community to join with a lot of happiness, friendly bands, and as well as you might have seen earlier with the Mills No moment, a lot of inside jokes as well. A little bit of a family that goes racing is one way to describe this community. I also quickly want to thank Austin Devonshire. Amazing to have you here on the comms today. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come join me here at 2S. It's been great having you as a guest commentator, and I hope to see you again commentating alongside me future for 2S.
No, I'd love to. Thank you for having me. Seriously, it's been a lot of fun, and it's really nice getting to know all the smaller communities within ACC. Because obviously with RCI, it's great. But a lot of the time, you feel part of this huge community. It's really nice getting to know everyone else and getting to learn some new names on the grid, and hopefully get to chat to you guys more in chat, and even race with you guys, because this has been so much fun. I want in on this, Christian.
Well, I'm very happy I could spend an hour and a half trying to convince you to join this community in some way or form. But everyone who's been watching, it's been an absolute pleasure. Obviously, Austin and myself, we met at an RCI Thursday commentating box. We're gonna do that as well, continue at RCI. So any Austin fans in chat, you will definitely hear more of him at RCI. We're missing our fellow co-commentator of Tim Peck today. I was hoping he would join us, but unfortunately he was not able to join. But I'm sure we can get the trio of us together again for some other race here at 2S in the future. As we also will potentially have a series like us three again at RCI. I've been talking to some of the higher ups there, and that could be a thing. So I'm looking forward to doing that with you, Austin. Obviously, this is a 2S a stream, so I'm not gonna chat too much about RCI. But yeah, it's been a pleasure having you all in chat, and I've hoped you all enjoyed the racing. And I'm not sure if round 4 will be broadcasted, but if it is, same time next week for the final round in Kailami with these Porsche Cup cars, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next broadcast. So thank you very much for being here, and again, thank you, Austin, for joining me.
No, thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Goodbye.